going on the local level is because nobody will talk. Consequently, there is no news. So while I don't like it, it's the way it is, and so be it. Eastman.
I think it was designed into the Constitution by the fathers of our country. I think they knew exactly what they were doing when they created a free press, guaranteed its freedom, and allowed them to go about reporting anything that was not either libelous or slanderous. And it is necessary that the press be what it is. It's called the Fourth Estate. It is meant to stand outside of answerable political places, except in the case of libel and slander. And there, obviously, they should be taken to court. But to reveal a source as to who told me, no, I'm not going to reveal it, because if I reveal it, I'll be out of business. No man could do business in this world of journalism if he revealed his sources. So no, absolutely not.
David? I don't think all there were. Yeah, as far as identified sources go, obviously they're necessary. We all know that. That's beating a dead horse. Thank God we've got them. They allow us to be free. But it seems to me that it is becoming, as all things always do in life, it's becoming excessive. I was looking at the paper. I forget, it was just this morning. And there were 3 major stories on the front page of the paper, headline stories, every one of them attributed to unidentified sources, high-ranking officials who asked their names not be used. The whole front page of the paper is based on what comes down being rumor. I think what's happening here is that the media have become lazy. They say, well, we don't need to verify this and check it out. Somebody said so we'll report it with a headline. It looks good to us. There's the problem, that they've gone too far the other way in their being allowed to use unnamed sources. They're lazy. They're using it as a cop-out. That's right. I really believe that. We don't take them away or we lose our freedom.
But by the same token, I'm hard-pressed to think of any major accusations made by the press based upon unnamed sources that did not turn out to be, in essence, the truth.
What truth? Well, did anybody around here ever hear of
Yeah, but wait a moment. Wait a moment.
Well, for example...
Let Bob tell me what truth was that.
For example, that we were sending arms to Iran, which is via Israel, which has been rumored for 5 years. As an example.
It is still a rumor. It hasn't come out officially with evidence to support it yet.
Funny, your president said in his nationally televised news conference 2 weeks ago, Tim, that he was doing it. Didn't you watch that?
He stood up and said, I initiated the policy. I take responsibility.
Well, now, Tim, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You're either sending arms to Iran or you're not.
He didn't tell you he was sending
Tim, he told me what he sent. He told me numbers and the type of weapons. Where in the hell were you?
President Reagan took responsibility for the foreign policy initiative, and what we're talking about right now is the press.
No, Tim, what we're talking about right now is your credibility. You just got finished telling me that nobody knows that they're going there. And it's all rumor.
I try not to interrupt you. If you continue to be so rude and so gauche as to interrupt everybody, I think you should get up and walk away, Bob.
I'll bet you do, Tim, because what I have to say is a little bit tough to answer.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I don't find anything you...
Well, you can wish that your president's ratings are going to go up, but don't wish that I'm going to get up and walk away.
Well, we have, of course, we have this hotbed of liberalism here.
Can we get back to the question?
I'd like to. If I can talk without being interrupted, I'd like to address the question. And the question was about the media. Obviously, we'd be idiots if we didn't feel that the media should be free
fight, man. We have a fight growing out in the audience, ladies and gentlemen, of the radio listening teenage thousands. Couple of real old dudes almost duped it out.
Well, you see, this is what liberals always resort to. They resort to personal attack, they resort to fisticuffs, and they resort to bad language. They have no other way of going. I I just want to say this about the press. Yes, I want a free press, but I want a responsible press. And what I said the other day, I stand by. It's about time that Congress called the press before them and try to find out what's going on with the rumors and what's going on with the unidentified sources. And yes, I'd like to see that. I still want freedom of the press. I don't want to censor them, but I want them to be responsible. I don't want them to shout fire in a crowded theater, and that's what they're doing.
Well, it seems to me that I heard in one of your shows in the past week that you wanted the media brought up before Congress for bringing up this whole nasty...
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Well, what was it that you said then, Tim?
I said that we need to find out why the Get Reagan press is using unidentified sources, unquote, or what is that? What's the other statement? Unidentified or reliable sources without identifying.
Well, again, Tim, I'll come back and say I am hard-pressed to think of any accusations they have made against the Reagan administration that have not proven founded.
Gentlemen, you have here a situation. You're talking about an individual man who has a source who gives him some information, and he then, according to what you would need this audience to believe, sits down at his typewriter, writes it as he wishes, and it magically appears in the paper. The man sitting in the middle of this panel is the news director of the station and can probably answer to it better than any of us. A man sits down and writes a story. The story goes through an editor. It goes, if it necessarily, impinges upon the people in the community in any way that might be dangerous from a standpoint of libel or slander, could go as high in that newspaper or television situation as to go to the management of that. In the case of the Nixon debacle, in the case of Watergate, Woodward and Bernstein, as you all know, had to get two sources or three sources other than the one known as Deep Throat, whom they met in the garage. So nobody just says, this guy told me, and it's in the paper tomorrow morning. That's not the process, and let Don tell you that it's not the process. It's baloney.
It doesn't work that way. I'm staying out of this one.
There you go with gutter language again, Eastman.
Baloney.
Well, somebody on this panel.
Hot sausage.
We will continue our roundtable discussion from West Shore Mall in Tampa. Food Court, invite you to join in. We'll hear some questions from our audience. We'll some more phone calls right after this. In the long run, it turns out that the President of the United States knew what was going on and was in direct violation of the law which said no aid to the Contras. Should he resign? Should he finish out the 2 years?
Answer that based on...
Everyone together, but if he doesn't know, what can he say? You see, right now, he's under some restriction not to discuss this matter with any of these people. And it's my belief that some of this took place without his knowledge. It even may have taken place without knowledge, for example, of Ronald Reagan. I don't know. You don't know.
Gentlemen, the other gentleman on our panel, the issue of accountability again.
The issue of accountability?
The President's responsibility for the actions of his underlings.
Well, you know, let us talk about the issue of credibility. We have a situation here where the President came on the television at noon a week ago Tuesday and said that something terrible had been discovered over the weekend, and he had been advised by his Attorney General that awful things were going on that might possibly be illegal. He asked for the resignation of two people on his staff, Mr. Poindexter and Mr. North. Called his Attorney General, called on his Attorney General to start an investigation of the entire situation. A day or two later, he's, after accepting the resignation of Mr. North, Colonel North, is calling him a national hero. You know, and again, we not only have a president standing there saying, well, gee, I didn't know, but we also have a president saying that, well, there are probably things that are wrong, but nonetheless, even if they are, this guy's great. Ronald Reagan either does not know what is going on, literally doesn't know what is going on, or Ronald Reagan is just a very befuddled man.
Data.
What is it?
The question of President Joe accountability.
Accountability?
Accountability.
I don't understand the question. You certainly mean I do not understand the question. What do you mean the presidential accountability is accountable?
Is he responsible?
Is what? Go ahead.
Is he responsible for the actions of his underlings?
That depends upon the actions, upon the degree of his knowledge, and thus we lead into a very gray area. Of course, sooner or later, he has to accept responsibility, but to what degree? What if one of
after the flight of Richard Nixon and the presidency was called all of the president's men, if you remember. Of any man in the world who has access to information, secret, unsecret, known, or unknown, in the White House and the administration of the government of the United States, it is the President of the United States. If he did not know, he can find out. He has the resources to find out, and there is no reason for us to sit here and even pretend that he doesn't. It is flagrant on our part to think that we would have a man in office whom we would love, appreciate, cheer, who would not know what he's doing in the job. It's impossible.
Yeah, I have to take that argument to the dogs. You see, once again, I must repeat that the United States government is a huge complex. It really is a huge complex. Nobody, I don't care who he is, can know everything that's going on. It's totally impossible. You cannot do it. But I'm not saying the president didn't know what Poindexter and North were doing. I'm not saying that. I hope he didn't. But the point is this, if he didn't know, that doesn't make him stupid. It can go on without the president knowing. It really can. There are lots of things that go on without the president knowing. Lots of them.
Then can you really concede that one of the president's pet projects, Contras in Nicaragua, can you really concede that people were aiding with millions, possibly tens of millions of dollars to Contras in Nicaragua and not bothering to mention it to the president? And it's perhaps his most pet project. Can you really concede that, Tim?
Well, I believe that, for example, Ross Perot was involved in quite a lot of this exchange of money, one place and another. But I'm not sure that the president would necessarily know about that. If he did know, that still is a crime. It has nothing to do with criminal actions.
We will continue our discussion live from West Shore Plaza at our 8th anniversary party underway with Tim Coles, John Eastman, David Fowler, Bob Lassiter, right after this.
This is the Duke taking your calls about Chevy Nova. Okay, if this early buyer study is true, and 95% of Nova owners would recommend it to a friend, the Duke wants to know why. I mean, it's just another call.
Also, some people on the phones who have been waiting patiently. Let's go to Tampa. Good afternoon. You're on WPLP.
Yes, gentlemen, I have a criticism of all of you, and I'd like Tim Coles to answer first. Why is it that none of you will give the Palestinians a fair shake? And who owns WPLP?
Yasser Arafat owns WPLP, sir.
Don't you have anything intelligent to say?
That's very intelligent, sir. It responds to your question rather nicely.
Answer the question, Tim.
Okay, Tampa, thank you for joining us.
WPLP
is owned by Gigantic Broadcasting.
Yeah, let me
Incorporated.
Let me answer the question. The Israelis offered all the Arabs that were there then in their territory, they offered them eventual citizenship. As a matter of fact, quite a few of them now have citizenship. But the Arabs, or the Palestinians, I should say, who refused that offer, went to Lebanon and formed a force which started committing terrorism. Now, I'm just as aware of the need of the Palestinians to find a home as anybody else. But you must remember that all the Arab countries around Israel have never offered the Palestinians a home. I mean territory of their own. And there's lots of spare territory in the half-dozen Arab nations which surround Israel. Believe me, it is a football, it's a political football, and it's to the benefit of the Arabs to keep it going. That's my answer.
Thoughts on the Middle East from anyone else on the panel?
I don't really feel like addressing the question. I've addressed it a number of times before, and this is what it boils down to, is the Palestinians have very legitimate causes and problems, as do the Israelis. The situation will only find a solution when the two sides give up their pettiness and sit down and talk.
David Fowler.
Oh, what? No, I have no comment on the Middle East. Then, now, or in the future, I don't talk about it.
Okay. America's strongest ally in the Middle East is Israel. We've chosen that path. that is our path, and so be it.
Let's go to the audience again, sir. You've been waiting for what seems like an eternity, I'm sure.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for allowing me the privilege to speak into this vast and bipartisan audience. First, my name is Mick Coronas from St. Petersburg, Florida, formerly of Boston. I'd like to congratulate Bob Lassiter on his remarkable speech on poverty about 2.5 weeks ago. He bared all the facts. If it didn't hit home with that speech, then people have no feelings. Now, I have a question that I'd like to address to Mr. Coles. Mr. Coles, many months ago, you made a statement, and I'm sure WPLP has it recorded. You said, find me, please, find me a hungry person. I recall that. Not precisely true, sir. Well, I said starving. I said starving. Starving? That's worse. That's worse. I said find me. Mr. Coles, have you got any statements to make towards that infamous one you made 3 months ago?
Yes, what I said was, I remember it well, sir. What I said was, please, all you people who call in and complain about children starving and people starving, show me. That's what I said. Show me. I want to see it. Nobody has responded to that. Nobody. I'm willing, if you will take me, I'm willing to go and meet with some starving children and starving people. Show me.
Are there people in need in this country, Tim?
Of course there are, and always will be. And there are people, I bet you that all the people who applauded Bob's show about poor people, I wonder how many of you have been out on the streets to help poor people. I'd like to know that, too.
Well, the show's about the working poor, it's about the wage scale. That's what the show is about.
Any further comment? St. Petersburg, thank you for joining us on WPLP.
Yes, you may. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to speak to Tim Coles. I wanted to disagree with you about what you said to Bob Lassiter about his discussion of religion, because I think discussion of religion is really a salvation for us, because religion is so very, very dangerous. Consider the fact that the Arabs think that if they die in battle, they will have immediate ascendancy into heaven. That is their religion.
WPLP. Hi, everybody. This is David Fowler, taking a moment of your wonderful weekend time to again recommend to you a wonderful company in business in the St. Petersburg area since 1969. J&M Aluminum. And I'll tell you again that if you're in the market for aluminum products, services, you need to call J&M. J&M Aluminum Incorporated in St. Pete. If it's in aluminum, they have it for you. And they don't subcontract out the job, never. They have their own quality staff, craftsmen. And if it's aluminum, they have screen rooms, patio covers, storage sheds, carports, screen doors, awning railings. The list goes on and on and on. They're your guarantee of quality, of craftsmanship, security, and peace of mind. Again, they've been in business since 1969, growing every day. You call them this coming week. J&M, St. Petersburg, number 521-2675. J&M Aluminum Incorporated.
Hey, this is Willard Scott with a really urgent message from Oxfam America. You know, right now, millions of people are facing the complete destruction of their lives and livelihood in more than 30 countries in Africa. A devastating 4-year drought is turning productive farmland into parched, dry desert. Poor African farmers who work so hard to support their families can no longer grow enough food and are beginning to starve. Tens of thousands have already left their land to become homeless refugees in search of food. Oxfam America aid workers report that disease is spreading, especially among malnourished children. It's really pathetic. And your support is needed right now to help suffering families get back on their feet again, and you can help. Oxfam America is working in Africa right now to bring vital supplies to those in need. Please, please help. Write Oxfam America, 115 Broadway, Boston, Massachusetts. Oxfam America, 115 Broadway, Boston, Massachusetts.
Let them take it away at the station and bring it back. Keep us in
And we are back at West Shore Plaza at the food court, our roundtable discussion commemorating our 8th anniversary as a news talk radio station, beginning our 9th year. A list of people waiting to talk to you, gentlemen. Before we go briefly, if that is possible, we were discussing before the break the power of a talk show host, the ability, in Tim's mind anyway, to change opinions about some of the basics. I'm curious as to how much power you gentlemen think you have. Bob?
How much power do I have? I don't have a great deal of power, obviously more than the average citizen, because I have a forum. I have, 16, 18 hours a week to, in essence, conduct a conversation along the lines that I wanted to go along. So that is power to a degree, but do I sway people? I can't see how that's possible.
What is your mission when you start a talk show? What do you hope to accomplish?
4 hours of entertainment. Nothing more, nothing less.
John Eastman.
Entertainment, a little bit of education, some fun, and I think you have a power in the sense that you have the power to reinforce attitudes that are already there. That is, if a person has a certain way of thinking about something, and you're talking in that same kind of language, they're going to respond to you, and they're going to have more faith in what they say to their neighbors, or how they treat their children, or what they do in their personal life. To motivate anybody to change from black to white is impossible, as you can see with Mr. Coles and Mr. Lassiter. They're not changing anything, not even their socks.
David
I don't have socks on.
David?
Yeah.
Power of the talk. Hello, David.
Yeah, I wasn't listening.
I'm sorry. Power of the talk show.
Wake up, David.
How much power do you think you have, and what do you try to accomplish during your 4 hours a day on the air?
Oh, I can answer that right on the line. I can tell you exactly how much power I have, and that is if I say, please go to Nina's restaurant for dinner this weekend on St. Petersburg Beach, 5 people will actually do it. If I say, hey, you need your home exterminated, I say, call Sunshine Termite. They serve all the Tampa Bay area. People will call them. That's the kind of power. That's the only power I can have. The rest of it is all window dressing, man. I'm there to make money, that's all. All of this political blabber.
You're in the wrong place.
Oh, I found that out. You've got that speak, but I'm still trying. I'm a naive kid.
Give the man a one-way bus ticket to New York.
Hey, I'm telling you the truth. The whole purpose of these programs is entertainment, and that's all it is. When I come on the air, I'm on that sucker for 4 hours every day. I better be able to entertain you a little bit. I think I do. But as to change your minds politically, preach to you. I don't do that. I'm there to make money for me and the radio station. And it is that simple. So you eat at Lena's. You call Sunshine. All the exterminated needs.
Too many accounts you don't get.
And I also want the money. All-Star limousine with a stretch caddy, a big white caddy that brought me up to the front door. Little plug here for All-Star Limo. Thank you, All-Star Limo of St. Petersburg, Treasure Island. Anytime you need a limousine, ladies and gentlemen, please call All-Star Limo and my buddy, whatever his name is. What a great guy.
Tim Coles. Yes, you are.
Some more, man.
Tim Coles.
Sell some more. I want to do commercials, man.
Tim Coles.
Well, as you hear, this business is partly commercial. But I think every one of us would agree that it is also entertainment. I do worry sometimes that something that's said may really hurt somebody. I mean, really deeply hurt somebody. And I don't want to do that. I really do not want to do that. Do we influence people? I think we do. I think we reinforce their beliefs. And I think sometimes we weaken their beliefs, but we don't do that intentionally. We're really expressing a point of view. I'm biased, you all know that. I'm biased in one direction, but I let people know that. If they don't understand it, I try to make it clear that I am biased. I do not try to educate. I do not try even to inform. I express my opinions.
Let us come back to the telephones. A reminder that you are welcome to join us if you are here in the food court. There's a proud microphone right in front. If you have a question you'd like to ask, Hillsborough 224-57 and Pinellas 393. 0057. Elsewhere in the Tampa Bay area, our revised number, 1-800-334-0057. Thank you to Sarasota for pointing that out. But let's go to St. Petersburg. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. Am I on the air?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Yes. Before I ask my main question of Tim Cole, I would like to make a little observation on what he just said. He said he doesn't believe in hurting anybody. I'm the great admirer of Tim Cole's until he introduced the word pinko to anybody who was against the Reagan administration. That hurts many people, including me. Now I want to ask my main question of Tim Cole. Recently, Tim, in one of your programs, somebody asked you a question about your background before you became a speaker. And you were in some way justifying the administration's difficulty in having the head of the government be responsible for what anyone in the administration does because it's impossible. You described your important job in a big corporation and how impossible it would be if any little cog down the line did something wrong. But what shocked me was that when you finished with that, you volunteered the following information. When you were about to retire, your boss said to you, "Why should you retire? I will fire you, and you will get workman's compensation." And so you received workman's compensation when you didn't deserve it, and when you were in a conspiracy with your boss to get money that you were not entitled to. I ask you now, how you justify that when you always keep hounding on the fact that there are people who are getting food stamps who are not entitled to it. I am anxious to hear your answer.
Thank you for joining us, St. Petersburg, Tim.
Well, I'll try to explain this as quickly as possible. At the time I retired from ITT, I was offered a job in Hong Kong. Now, for almost all the years that I had been with ITT, I was overseas with them. I never had a job in this country, well, I should call Puerto Rico this country. And I wanted a job in this country. So when I was offered Hong Kong, I turned it down. Now, in a large corporation, when a middle line manager turns down an offer like that, he's just about finished anyway. Really, I'm serious. So I said, I think I'll get out of this, to my boss, who was a corporate vice president. And he said, well, if you really want to get out of it, you've done a damn good job for us. I'll lay you off and you'll get a year's pay. And that's what happened. I was laid off and I got 1 whole year's pay. I see nothing improper about that at all.
That was paid from ITT?
Yes, from ITT.
Clearwater, thank you for joining us. You're on WPLP.
Yeah. Florida's governor, both senators, and all but 2 members of the House report aid to the Congress. I'd like to know how the panel feels, and if Bob Lassiter has anything good to say about our nation.
All right, thank you, Clearwater.
Well, I'll take that first. I'll take the second part last. Meaning if I have anything good to say about our nation, just because you disagree with some of the things I say is no reason for you to assume that I have nothing good to say about our nation. I suggest, sir, you clean your ears out and listen to my show a little bit more carefully before you go around making cavalier charges.
Contra question. Bob?
I'm not even sure what the contra question was. Is anybody else on the panel sure?
Yeah, I think that he wanted to know why the United States Senate, Congress, and most of the administration support aid to the Congress.
Why they support aid to the Congress? Because they have their arms twisted.
Oh. Jim?
You see, that's a typical answer of somebody who just doesn't understand the whole situation. They didn't get their arms twisted. Who could twist their arms? Tell me. If President Reagan was being accused of twisting their arms, how come that every budget he submitted, they have changed significantly to increase the deficit? How is he twisting their arms? I want to know.
Well, I suspect him that if they were so much in favor of aid to the Contras, they wouldn't have stopped at a paltry $100 billion that everybody knew wasn't really do any significant good anyway, but they would have gone all out.
Well, that's the amount that's being
shouldn't be said, and that is simply that I never thought I would ever think of myself as an isolationist. But I'm wondering if the United States has finally reached a point where maybe we should stop, just stop, not permanently stop with our aid to the world and our concerns for various countries and their political squabbles, but just stop for a minute, isolate ourselves, take a good long look at what we're doing with our money domestically and in terms of foreign aid and support of various governments. Just stop, because I don't think anybody up here or anybody out there knows what's going on. And I think we ought to let the people in these nations tell us, by reason of their own anguish and their own fight and their own revolution. If they're going to have a revolution, there will be a revolution. We had one. We're a nation made of revolutionary ideas. But now we've become meddling, old, doddering empire. And I don't think we should be that. I think we should be the strongest, most vibrant nation on earth, and we should let people do what people do, including Lassiter and Cole. David?
Yeah, I'll tell you that, John.
You take the citrate of magnesia and you feel better.
Exactly. I'll tell you something, John.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you on an emotional and a gut instinct level, but let me tell you what you're leaving out what to me seemed to be a fairly relevant factor in this scenario. You're leaving out very glibly, and I admire your polish, but you're very glibly leaving out the USSR. Where the hell do you think the Sandinistas have all their funding from? So where does the military equipment come? The building of a major airstrip. So if you want to talk about the Sandinistas, about the Nicaraguan people, and let them run their own country the way they want to run it, I would agree. But obviously the USSR has different ideas, or I don't think we can reasonably ignore their provable military presence in control of Nicaragua today.
May I respond? And when it comes to glibness, I've not heard anybody who does it better, and I mean that seriously. All right, I was amazed the other day in doing some research on the subject of the Vietnam War and trying to figure out how the Vietnam War, in effect, came into existence. And that takes you back to the French, and it really takes you all the way back to Dwight Eisenhower's administration. And I was surprised. I'd forgotten that it was Dwight Eisenhower who coined the phrase the domino theory. And the domino theory said, in terms of the Vietnam War and why we went to Vietnam, was that if we did not go to Vietnam, there would be an effect of slowly knocking over one country after another country after another country. General Eisenhower learned this in Europe. It was a philosophy he learned from Adolf Hitler as he watched Hitler take over all of Europe. So there is a philosophy that says, if this happens, then this necessarily will happen, and that will follow, and this will follow, and eventually it will come to our doorsteps, and we will fall dead. Now that was Dwight D. Eisenhower, 1959, in this nation, and his reasoning was correct. But we've come a long way since then, and we've been through a number of very embarrassing situations in Korea and in Vietnam. The world has changed. And I'm suggesting to you that the game may not any longer be dominoes. I said this on the air, not dominoes, but chess. We're now in a much more sophisticated kind of international relationship with all nations on this earth. And it's a heavier thought process than just to assume a fear of communism, to assume that because this happens, this is going to necessarily happen. I think there are too many weapons, too much sophistication, too many different policies and attitudes existing in the world today so that it's not simplistic. If you let the Nicaraguans work out the Nicaraguans' problem, it does not necessarily follow that the communists will be in downtown Detroit on Thursday. I don't think so.
There is much more on this topic. I know Tim Coles would like to respond. We must break, and we will continue at our 8th anniversary party right after these messages.
And now, more talk on WPLP.
And we are back live, West Shore Plaza, the food court, our 8th anniversary roundtable discussion continuing until 4. Tim Coles on the topic of isolationism and American foreign policy.
Well, I don't want to do a long speech on this.
We don't have much time.
No, except to say that it is absolutely necessary that the United States tries to maintain some degree of influence in certain areas of the world. And you really can't do that without money. There's no way I know that it can be done without money. Whether it's too much or too little, I don't know. But I believe this year, Bob, I'm not sure of this, perhaps you have the number, I think it's around $12 billion.
Barney, the answer is pretty accurate figure.
And maybe that is too much.
And half of it goes to the Middle East between Egypt and Israel.
Well, that is a hot spot. I suppose those who make these determinations, we tend to forget something. We have ambassadors all over the world who are feeding back information, and that has to be taken into consideration too. I think isolationism would be a terrible thing to adopt right now. Almost instantly it would have worldwide effects in favor of the Soviet Union.
Well, I tend to agree with John on a emotional level, as David said. I believe that we must spend money in the world to gain influence. I think we're spending it in the wrong way. We would probably do a hell of a lot better by building hospitals and helping more so with agriculture than we are by sending bullets and machine guns. Communism is something that we should all fear. There are no two ways about that, but you just cannot fight communism with bullets. There ain't enough to kill an idea.
All right, but my point was really that I said citrate of magnesium. I meant something that had a cathartic effect. If you suddenly, if you ever have had the occasion to lose friends, all you need to do is go broke. And you find out who's who very quickly. All I'm suggesting is that maybe for a moment we ought to just appear to have gone broke, realign our friendships, take a look, not isolate ourselves from the world, but more correctly. If I'm not mistaken, and you guys should know, isn't there still some $30 million that nobody can find that didn't get to where it was supposed to go?
Oh, in this Contra situation, at least it may be more than that.
Right, all right. So you're talking about, you're all being so grandiose here about your wonderful foreign aid and how many millions of dollars and what our responsibilities are. And you can't even find $30 million that got lost in a Swiss bank account. Are you kidding? Why don't you stop with the Swiss bank accounts, take the money out, sit down and say, who still runs the American flag up the post every morning? And if you don't run it up the post every morning, go someplace else. Now, if that's going to give us to the Soviet Union, maybe you belong in the Soviet Union. You won't fight us.
30 seconds, Tim Coles.
Well, that's, to my way of thinking, John, with all due respect, that's a really stupid idea to mix this Contra puzzle with our foreign aid. I've never heard anything so.
Well, what means $70 million of it is for humanitarian aid?
No, that's not true. 30 million is humanitarian.
70 million is for military, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm just dumbfounded.
Take you back to the West Shore Plaza in Tampa, where Don Richards has convened a special session of the WPLP Roundtable.
And we are back live from West Shore Plaza, the food court, with Tim Coles, John Eastman, David Fowler, and Bob Lassiter. We are continuing our roundtable discussion. We welcome questions from our audience, microphone to the front of us, and also questions from our callers, Hillsborough 224-0057, in Pinellas 393-0057. Elsewhere around the Tampa Bay area, give us a call at 1-800-334-0057. Let us see if we can get back to the telephones with any questions you may have for our assemblage talk show hosts. Is that a babble of talk show hosts? Is that the collective noun for a babble of talk show hosts? In any case, as we slowly get back into order here, let us go to Newport Richie. I'd like to thank you for waiting patiently. Good afternoon. You're on WPLP.
Hello, Don.
Yes.
I would like your panel to address two suggestions. I want their comments on these two suggestions, which were made this past week by Tim Coles. The first was made in open conversation.
Hello, sweetheart.
When Mr. Coles suggested that the American media, specifically the press, be brought before the United States Congress, the purpose of which was to force them to divulge unnamed sources. The second suggestion was made in an interview with Bill Ratliff. Coles asked Ratliff if he didn't think there were certain circumstances under which the president could operate foreign policy in secret. Ratliff responded, yes, so long as it's clear. And Mr. Coles' response to that was that he did not think an American president's hands should be tied on the issue of legality. Would you please comment?
All right, the questions, if I understand them correctly, and we thank you for joining us, Newport Richie. Two topics that came up during one of our talk shows this week. First of all, press being brought before Congress for hearings at which members of the media would be forced to reveal unnamed or secret sources. Bob, let's start with you.
One more time, run it past me. I'm sorry.
The suggestion was made that members of the media be brought before Congress for hearings at which the reporters would be forced to divulge their sources.
Ah, yes, I heard it on Swami Cole's show this week, yes. An utterly absurd concept and thought, in my humble opinion. The fact of the matter is that the government wishes...
Underway until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Tim Coles, John Eastman, David Fowler, Bob Lassiter here in celebration of our anniversary. Let's get back to the telephones if we can, and we'll get back to our audience. Bradenton, thank you for waiting. You're on WPLP.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm enjoying the show. Listen, something, name in the news today is Stephanie Collins, who is a young girl that was, whatever happened, she was found murdered. Now, I know a few of your gentlemen thoughts on capital punishment, and in particular, Mr. Lassiter. Mr. Lassiter, would you be on a defense table and make a plea to the jury to say the man that killed this young girl?
I beg your pardon, when I'm asking what I be on the defense table, they completely say the light.
To the jury. To tell how this man who killed this young girl should not be put to death.
Well, who has the right to put him to death, sir?
The state.
Is it wrong to kill?
It's wrong to kill.
Well, then it's wrong for the state to kill, sir. We have other alternatives. We have other means of taking somebody and putting him away so he doesn't kill again.
Because it's the law. That's why it's legal to kill.
I know there are lots of laws, sir. One time it was the law in, Germany to take Jews and put them in the gas chamber.
Oh, here we go. Let's talk about Hitler now, huh?
If you'd like to.
Do you want to go back to Nero, too, how we burned Rome down? Why don't you speak to the issue?
I am speaking to the issue, sir. You're the one that said it's the law. Therefore, that makes it justifiable.
Capital punishment. I want you to explain to the people there why you're against capital punishment.
I just did, Bozo. If it's wrong to kill, it's wrong to kill.
Look,
that's all there is to it. I mean, you're saying it's okay to kill sometimes, but it's not okay to kill sometimes. Now, which is it?
Look, now wait a minute. Don't try to outtalk me.
Oh, it's not easy, or it's not my brother.
Look, I have a daughter, and I guarantee anybody that killed her would be dead tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure you would, and I can well understand that. That's why, the family's victim is not on the jury, or the victim's family is not on the jury. I can well understand why you want revenge. But that's not the purpose of the criminal justice system, is to give people revenge. The purpose of the criminal justice system is to make the street safe. And there are other alternatives to putting somebody in jail and crime.
Put him in jail for 30 years, is that it?
No, how about forever?
Forever?
Yeah, forever. You got a problem with that?
I sure do.
Yeah, because you want revenge.
That's right.
Well, that is not the purpose of a civilized society's criminal justice system.
That's the old way of thinking.
It's the way of thinking of a civilized society.
Why does the Supreme Court say it's all right to execute people? The Supreme Court is wrong, right?
I believe they are, yes.
Okay.
Bradenton, thank you for joining us. See what some other people have to say on the panel. John, capital punishment question. I know it's all over your show.
Well, the worst thing about capital punishment is the way it's applied. As long as Charlie Manson is alive, as long as Bundy is alive, as long as some of the more heinous criminals in this country can exist in prisons without being executed. I had great difficulty with Mr. Spiegelink being the first man in Florida to die at the time. I think unequal application of the law is obscene. Period.
Two goals.
Yeah. Yeah, John raises a very valid side issue to this problem. We do need the law applied evenly, especially in capital, in first-degree murder cases. But I suggest it's not revenge. I suggest it's simple punishment. And I want murderers found guilty, properly found guilty, after due process, to be frizzled.
David? Well, it's a great topic here in the middle of the holidays. We talk about capital punishment, roasting human flesh, which is really fun. And I have a comment, however. Boy, it's only it's real simple. What it comes down to is that if you will picture in your mind's eye and you will hear in your mind's ear, and I'm not going to lecture to you, but let's be honest here. Stop all this playing around intellectually. Take Ted Bundy, one example. Just one. I want you to picture in your mind's eye and hear in your mind's ear. If you got the guts, probably don't. I want you to picture in your mind's eye any one of the young women during the moments that he was so brutally murdering her. Try and picture that in your mind's eye. I want you to see her eyes dilated with terror. I want you to see her mouth open, screaming. I want you to see her struggling to get away. I want you to picture her as a little girl. I want you to remember the fact she didn't do anything to deserve this. No one could, and she sure didn't. And he killed more than one of them. Picture that in your mind's eye. And in your mind's ear, hear her scream. You hear her begging, don't do this to me. And then hear that damnable little snicker that Bundy has mastered in how many court appearances. I say Friday SOB, excuse me. Do it.
What makes Ted Bundy with that little snicker any different to the people out of this audience now screaming and shouting approval? You turn it into a gut-wrenching emotional issue. You turn it into revenge. You got it. Well, the people out there are just as bad as Ted Bundy.
Give me a break.
Because they too enjoy killing.
You know that, I tell you flat, I'm pretty good on my mental feet, but that type of unutterable density doesn't deserve any response from this mind. Just shove it, Bob. You guys ready to leave? I can't.
Oh, get him and leave.
No, man, I can't with somebody of gimmicky liberalism.
Oh, gimmicky liberal. You want to talk about phony, David?
Do it. Do it.
You're probably the phoniest person at this table with that gut-wrenching emotional. Listen, look at the terror in her eyes.
Well, you think there wasn't terror in her eyes?
I know there was terror in her eyes, David. It was a despicable act.
Yeah, what you want to do is intellectualize it and make it dry.
No, what you want to do is do the same damn thing Bundy did. That's what you want to do. Yeah, there's no difference between you and Bundy. None whatsoever.
Don't take it seriously, folks. It's a gimmick and it doesn't deserve a response. So it's just a gimmick. Let's go to our audience.
That's the best you can do, David.
When you call me the same as Ted Bundy, I wouldn't even honor you with a response.
Let's go to our audience if we can for a second for quick questions coming up on news.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Well, I got one customer after he runs out of reprieves. I'm going to set up a stand and sell Bundy burgers.
Do you have your question?
Yeah, I just want to make a statement.
Happens to us all.
I think Bundy. Well, anyway, John, you come a long way since that first one down at the airport.
I guess so.
You did it single-handed then.
I don't know what that was. It mean the time I robbed the bank?
No, the time that WPLP came into town.
Yeah, I guess so.
You did it all single-handed. I guess you built up a little business.
No, I have nothing to do with it. These guys did it. I went off and got unfamous. I think the lack of fame is really a wonderful thing, and thank you very much for not allowing me to have it again.
Well, I just wanted to let the audience know, those that don't know,
They know.
you are the pioneer.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are continuing our 8th anniversary roundtable discussion for another hour here from West Shore Plaza. We are in the food court, readily found. We are offering you a slice of our anniversary cake. It is to the rear, and enjoying a little bit of good confrontational two-way conversation. If you'd like to join us in Hillsborough, 224-0057, in Pinellas County, 393-0057, elsewhere, 1-800-334-0057, and we'll be back after an update of CBS News that is next for you with Mike Hennessy and local news following that at 3 o'clock on WPLP Pinellas Park. Tennessee, this is the Food Mart, our roundtable discussion underway in its final hour with Tim Coles, John Eastman, David Fowler, and Bob Lassiter. Also sitting in for a moment or two is Adrian Brennan, Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Tampa Incorporated. We, of course, are taking pennies and your contributions to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Adrian, where's this money going?
This money is going to go to help little brothers, little sisters, single-parent moms and dads in Hillsborough and big sisters and married couples to help us take these kids and help them turn their lives around.
Specifically, what use will this money be used going forward?
Specifically, it will be used to go out and recruit big brothers. That's what we need. We have 400 little boys in the Tampa Bay area from good kids, really good kids, Don, that just need a big brother or a married couple to spend a few hours a couple times a month with them. That's what we really need.
So the desire is not only for money, but also for a little bit of your time, if it's available. If people would like to make a contribution, obviously, if you are here in the food court, we'd like to see some of your loose change. Some of that folding stuff is well going to Big Brothers and Big Sisters. If not, you can mail a contribution to WPLP. Be eligible for a two-day cruise on Tampa Bay's very own SS Veracruz, Florida's favorite cruise ship. That information will be provided on the air. And, of course, we are offering a longer cruise on the SS Veracruz, the most unusual container of pennies that we see here today, and there are some that are very, very intriguing. But if those of you who are sitting in the food court, we would like to see a little bit of assistance from you today, from Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Greater Tampa. Adrian, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate WPLP.
And we're trying to help out a little bit, help some kids around Tampa Bay. Continuing with our roundtable discussion, if you would like to join us, phone numbers in Hillsborough 224-0057, Pinellas 393-0057, elsewhere in the Tampa Bay area 1-800-334-0057. Don Richards here, in and amongst Tim Coates, John Eastman, David Fowler, and Bob Lassiter. Some people who have been waiting rather patiently to get their views and opinions on the air. Let's go to the phones and St. Petersburg. Thank you for waiting.
I don't know. Discussing money and the fact that the United States government, particularly our administration, has an uncaring attitude toward its poor and what does it do for its people. I came across an article in Modern Maturity, the August-September issue, 1986, and it introduces a man who oversees the world's third largest budget. Dr. Otis Bowen is the Secretary of Health, Human Services. There are only two other budgets in the whole world which are larger than the one that he oversees. One is the United States government and the other is the Soviet Union budget. They are larger. But the third largest budget in the world, $333 billion, is spent in this country on health and human services. Where is that money going? What is being done with it, and how much more are we supposed to give?
Okay, thank you, St. Pete, for that question. Let's start with Tim Coates if we can.
It's a very good question. Of course, not all that money gets down to the people who really need it. And one of the problems I have, for example, with our system at the moment concerns Social Security. I believe that, first of all, it's wrong to put the COLA on Social Security. I believe it's wrong to increase it. I think that Social Security should be awarded upon retirement and should remain at that amount. I know that's not popular, but I believe that to be the case. And secondly, the money that will be saved doing that could go to those people on Social Security who have nothing else but $250, $300 a month. That's all they have to live on. I would like to see that money go to them to increase that lower level. Those kinds of adjustments, I think, are very necessary. But that $343 billion, whatever it was, I forget the exact amount, not all of that, of course, goes to things like food stamps and aid to children, all the rest of it. I think the greatest proportion of it does go to Social Security. And one final remark, Social Security should not be a part of the budget. It should be a completely separate fund, because in my opinion it has very little to do with the budget.
David, thoughts on the third biggest budget in the federal government?
Social Security has to be, and this will happen, nobody wants it, of course, but it will have to be more selectively doled out. We have to phase it out. It should be started now, phasing out Social Security. I know I'm sick of death and banging for some of you rich old people out there. You need to cut back on it on the basis of if your income is annually X amount, you don't get it. Sorry, if you didn't vote, but you don't get it. that's the only answer, is grin and bear it. We have to phase it out. It says some student reports.
Fading faster, David. Bob Lassiter, if you would.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought the question had a little bit more to do with what more can the government do than talking about that third largest budget. So often, especially out of the conservative community, we seem to think that everything is black and white. It's either give people money or not give people money. There are things that this administration has done, or things that this government has done over the last half dozen years that have been very detrimental. I'm more concerned about the working poor in this nation. As an example, people on the minimum wage have not had a raise in 5 years. That's one thing this government can do, is to increase the minimum wage. I don't like giving people money. I think it is counterproductive. I think it is dangerous and detrimental. It helps no one. This government could do a hell of a lot more to encourage people going to work. Now, I know all about 12 million jobs that Mr. Coles is probably sitting there frothing at the mouth to point out. But I would also point out those 12 million jobs, the overwhelming majority, we're talking in the 60 to 75% range, are either part-time minimum wage or full-time minimum wage jobs. They don't count the $124 a week. That's what this government can do.
Can I respond to that?
As you wish.
Yeah, I would like to respond to that to some degree. First of all, if you increase the minimum wage, you're going to put a lot of small businesses out of business. There's no doubt about it. And personally, and this isn't going to be popular, I would like to see any wage control whatsoever done away with. I think it's counterproductive. I think that if you know that what the job pays and you take it, so be it.
Well, now, finally, I heard you say something dumb. I'm sorry. You said something dumb. There are people who are victimized by what you call this wonderfully entrepreneurial small businessman. All they're doing is reaming the poor guy who has to take that job. We have to have say, oh, come on, man, get out in the real world.
Well, let me ask you, David, would you rather he were on unemployment rate?
Who? Oh, the guy that takes?
Yeah.
I don't see the fun.
You don't see it?
No, you lost me there. How do you see it?
I see. You'd rather pay him unemployment money to stay on.
No, you're trying to have the immediate direct cause and effect, and that's not the way the world works.
Well, it is.
You're talking about putting people out of work. Let's just turn around and look over our shoulders. There's a taco stand behind us. The small one is $2.29. The large one is $3.29. I dare say that if that man over there who runs that taco stand increased his tacos by 15 or 20 cents and put that into paying the people that work there, he's not going to be driven out of business. The rest of us who aren't earning $3.35 an hour are going to have to be prepared to pay maybe $2.40 for a taco. Well, the guy that works there can also afford to buy one.
Yeah, you see, once again, you're applauding. What Bob is asking you to do is pay more for your taco, right? I want to tell you something. If those prices were to go up, you'd be the first to walk away and look for lower prices.
John Eastman, any thoughts?
Yes, I have only one thought. I have never made enough money. I don't expect to ever make enough money. And I'm not here for the money. I just like to be comfortable and respected and get through life. I don't know what to do other than that. I don't. I don't know the answer to the question that you've also wonderfully spoken about. I just wish somebody would come and give me some money. That's it.
Quick poll of the audience would be, what if the taco prices go up and you walk away? Yes? Raise your hands if you do. Raise your hands if you don't.
You're lying.
The guy who runs the taco stand.
You are lying. You are lying. Especially the women, because I know you women, you shop for the best product you can get for the least price.
Well, the point of the fact is that if the minimum wage were increased, everybody who runs a taco stand would have to jack his prices up to $2.40.
Not necessarily.
We're going to continue.
No, I'm standing by what I said when I responded the first time. Either you want them on unemployment compensation or you want them employed and paying taxes. For me, it's that simple.
Roundtable discussion coming from West Shore Plaza, the food court therein. Tim Coles, John Eastman, David Fowler, and Bob Lassiter. Back with you right after this.
Homemade chocolates and fudge at Jane's Candyland. Caramel filling fudge, dietetic delights, holiday treats, and more. Supplies and classes too. Make your own goodies. Jane's Candyland in the new George Plaza on Stargate, just south of Almerton and Largo. Jane's ships anywhere.
To be an artist requires a sensitivity, a tenderness, and passionate spirit. You have the artist's instincts, the artist's perception, becoming a prism to the world, reassembling and revealing life's spectrum. For you exists Spectrum Art Supplies. When you enter Spectrum, you enter a land of enchantment, of stimulation. Whether you are a serious artist or a dabbler, shopping for yourself or for Christmas gifts, Spectrum Art Supplies' extensive product lines from around the world are unmatched for quantity and quality. Especially for the holidays, all items are marked below suggested retail and make perfect Christmas gifts and stocking stuffers. Drawing tables starting at $50, including a free lamp. Artist easels from $13. Selected paint sets are 20 to 30% off. Portfolios, artworks, unusual and provocative posters, and expert personalized service. Spectrum in Rose Tree Plaza between 66th and Belcher on Almerton. The power of thought, the magic of the mind. Spectrum Art Supplies.
Placido Domingo, the London Symphony Orchestra, and the Vienna Boys Choir in a new Christmas album. It's called Listen to the Joy. It's available on record or cassette. $2.95 with any Hallmark purchase. Only at your Hallmark store. Enjoy it. And Merry Christmas.
Dr. Wayne to emergency stat. Dr. Wayne to emergency stat.
In the hospital, stat means right away. And when you have a sore throat, you want pain relief right away. That's why our fast-acting sore throat lozenges are called Superstat. Superstat, stat. With an anesthetic action that temporarily relieves minor sore throat pain, stat. Superstat, stat. Now in delicious cherry, too. And for coughs, get Novahistine DMX. Novahistine, a name known and recommended by doctors. Novahistine DMX. Use only as directed.
And now, the talk continues. And it continues from West Shore Plaza in Tampa, the food court, our roundtable discussion. As we begin our 9th year of broadcasting this News Talk radio station, let us go to our audience and a question from a rather attractive lady. I'm being sexist, and I love it.
Come as close to the mic as you can.
Nicole, I have something to say. I'd be willing to pay more for a taco if they treat their employees better and decent. And I do.
Well, I think you're speaking emotionally, I really do.
No, I'm not speaking.
Because you see, it isn't just tacos, it's the whole of business. And that would, if you increase minimum wage for all business, that would give us an increased inflation rate.
Would you fill?
And what you, no, I haven't finished, Bob. This is the worst thing. You are being cruel to the poor people when you do it. Because the poor people who can't afford those higher prices will have to pay them if they want to have that goods or service.
Tim, when you talk about the whole of business, you're demonstrating your economic illiteracy one more time. The man that works at the taco stand for $3.35 can't afford to buy an automobile. So because he can't afford to buy an automobile, there's going to be one less made this year. And we have millions and millions and millions and millions of people who are living and working today, going out, trying to do the right thing, who can't afford to live. They can't afford an automobile, they can't afford a color television set, they can't afford everything.
Who says they have to have an automobile?
Therefore, the more people you have working at the taco stand for $3.35 an hour, the more people you're putting out of work in Detroit who can't now afford to eat at the taco stand because they themselves are out of work. Because that is the whole of business. If you are to prosper, everybody's got to prosper.
No, sir. Now, wait a moment. Hold on a moment. That really has to be the stupidest discussion I've ever heard. Let me point out. Just let me point out a moment. Are you people sitting there telling me you want to buy everybody an automobile? Are you telling me that everybody...
Tim, is that what I said?
That's what you said.
No, it isn't what I said. The man on the taco stand cannot afford to buy it all.
Too bad.
The guy...
Too bad. That means that not if we...
Too bad, Tim.
Let's take...
Got yours. Let's take... with everybody else.
Let's take the... No, let's take the argument... Let's take the argument to the final point, please. And I know you can't argue this. I've said it before and I'll repeat it. If you took all the money away from everybody, and you gave everybody $10,000, we would end up in a very short time with the rich, the middle class, and the poor. That's the truth.
Well, what the hell kind of final argument is that, Tim? What does that have to do with paying people a living wage? What does that have to do with paying somebody a living wage?
Sir, it is not your responsibility to determine who should or should not get a living wage.
Oh, it isn't?
No, sir.
I see. Well, you apparently would like to live in a communist country.
Not everybody can have an automobile. Not everybody can have a color television set. That's the way life is, and you can't change it. Because some people are leaders, some people are workers, and some people are bums.
And everybody deserves dignity, Tim, and there is no dignity in $124 a week.
Nothing to do with dignity.
Oh, doesn't it? Let's see how much dignity you have with $124 a week. We'll take off that $300 jacket you've got on your back real quick. Would you have quite as much dignity if you were walking around in a sweatshirt with holes in it?
Well, I wouldn't be dressed like you, that's for sure.
St. Petersburg. What does that mean, Tim? What does that mean, Tim?
You can take it any way you want, Bob.
Oh, really? Gentleman Jim Coles again, eh?
St. Petersburg, you're on WPLP. Hello, St. Petersburg, you're on WPLP. Thank you for waiting. No. Just St. Petersburg not there, Brandon. Hello. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to quickly correct two previous statements. The lady said we spend $300 billion on the welfare, and actually it's $600 billion because the states contribute an equal amount. And on Medicare from 1980...
Sir, your figures are so incredibly wrong. Let me go back.
I can tell you where to look them up.
Sir.
Let me finish.
Sir, 1 second.
Oh, shut up.
What is the federal budget? It's approximately $1 trillion, is it not, sir?
That's right.
What is the federal deficit?
200 billion.
Correct, sir. And if you took away every penny that the federal government spends, if you took away every penny that the federal government spends, sir, except for the military and pensions and interest on the debt, you would still have a federal deficit. To say that we are spending $300 billion a year federal government-wise on welfare is a blatant lie. The figure is closer to 65 to 70 billion, sir. And on top of that, to say that the states spend $300 billion a year on welfare is also a lie. What is the federal, or what is the total budget in the state of Florida, sir? Do you know?
I said social program.
It's about $13 billion, sir. In the state of New York, it's closer to 30. If you take that and average it out and multiply it by 50, we are not spending anywhere near $300 billion on welfare, sir. It's just another conservative lie.
I said social program, not welfare. Social programs.
Now, what's a social program, sir?
Everything that's done to help people...
you mean like roads?
Pardon me?
You mean like roads?
Absolutely not.
Or the USDA?
No. I'm talking about things like Medicare. Did you know that Medicare went from under Reagan, it went from $30 billion in 1980. It's now $75 billion. It's increased 250%.
Yeah.
That's a fact, is it not?
Yeah.
And yet they say Reagan's cutting back on Medicare.
To our caller, can we get to the second part of your question, please?
Okay, Bob, do you believe in rehabilitation for criminals?
No.
You don't?
No.
Well, that's good. Because what happens...
You ever listen to my show, you'd know that, because I say it frequently. I believe in punishment for criminals.
What happens when they rehabilitate a person is they take a person like Martha Serb, who killed 2 young women, disemboweled them, brutally killed them, and they put him away for life, and he gets out